To show God's power over all the animals of this world, sometimes he used them as his messengers, and sometimes they carried more than mere messages. Good morning, I'm Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Monday. We know that the ravens delivered food to Elijah while he was there at the brook Kerith, and that was that great fish who delivered Jonah in the area around Nineveh where he was supposed to go and preach. But when Jesus had come to Capernaum in Matthew chapter 17, his disciples were asked by the tax collectors of that area if their master did not pay the temple tax expected of everyone. Well, when Peter would have approached Jesus with this question, he already anticipated the question. So he asked him, "Do kings require taxes of their sons or of strangers?" He was actually pointing out here that since this was the temple of God and the temple tax was upkeep of his father's house, he should be exempt from paying this tax. And yet he says in Matthew 17, verse 26, "Nevertheless, lest we offend them, go to the sea, cast in a hook, and take the fish that comes up first. And when you have opened its mouth, you will find a piece of money. Take that and give it to them for me and for you." Of course, being a fisherman, it was nothing for Peter to go out and catch a fish. But I doubt in all his fishing he had ever caught a fish that was carrying a coin in its mouth. Apparently, the fish and the coin were supplied specifically for this purpose. So Jesus told Peter to take the money and give it to the temple treasury, and this would pay the tax for Jesus and for Peter for the temple's upkeep. This was certainly not a coincidence that this particular fish had swallowed a coin, or that Peter would accidentally catch that exact fish that was needed for the taxes. It is interesting that only Matthew records this miracle. I suppose with his history of taxation in the work that he did before he came to Jesus, this was especially notable to him. But he noted how Jesus took care of this debt. I'm sure we're supposed to see that Jesus was actually exempt, being the Son of God, that he was taking care of the tax of Peter also. But more importantly, this speaks to the miraculous control that God has over animals. He uses them to do his bidding as messengers and even as couriers, sometimes carrying items. But more than these things, I see that God can miraculously supply our every need, even if he has to use unbelievable terms or unbelievable ways to bring about our necessities. Jesus tells us in Matthew chapter 6, "Take no thought for your life, whether it's food or raiment, because your heavenly Father knows what you have need of in all these things." So we simply need to place our trust in the Lord, who can care for all our needs and provide, perhaps even in supernatural ways, as we see here. He often does that in our lives, and we miss it. We don't see his working. But we don't need to worry. Actually, he commands us there in Matthew chapter 6, "Instead, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you."